thank you so much for having me. Yes, I am a choir leader of a community choir, and I suspect I saw a couple of posters down there, Sing Stasia. Maybe you're a community choir like me. Many choirs in the community are run by committees. I don't have that luxury, if that's what you want to call it. But actually, I love the fact that I very much worked in tandem with Rayburn, and together we talked about why I might like to take a bunch of people who only really know each other in a singing capacity for 2 hours every week. How would that possibly be successful? Because when you think about your choir members, that is often the only time they spend together. They might go to the pub after choir, they might have 20 minutes over a tea break. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if you're somebody who has a community choir, my community choirs are 14 years old. So it's taken me 12 years to get to the point of wanting to take them on tour. But that's because I want to feel very confident in that the people who sign up were going to have the best possible time. I do wish I'd done it earlier, but I was very busy with my young children at the time when I first started choir. So I think the first thing to ask yourself is, why would you want to take your community choir on tour? And my answer to that might be because 2 hours a week doesn't appear to be enough time for them to get to know each other, that some of them have got extra time on their hands. But what do you do for the people who choose not to come on tour? And is that going to cause some tension when you get back from tour? So have a really good think about that, because not everybody's going to be able to come, whether that's from an affordability point of view of money flow, or indeed an affordability point of view of the time that they can afford to take away. So again, I think it's really important that you understand the demographic of your choir. So for example, one of my choirs has a lot of young mums. So it's going to be quite unreasonable for me to perhaps suggest that they're going to come away on a Friday and back on a Sunday. So I think I'm going to go with, Jason, as soon as you have the idea and you've discussed it with Rayburn, make sure you communicate that idea really very quickly with your singers so that you can start to gauge interest. So of my 100 singers, I have 60 in one choir and I have 40 in another choir. I ended up taking about 40 people from the big choir and only about 10 from the other choir. But I felt really, really confident that I would choose repertoire that would really serve them, and they could do little separate performances. That those who were choosing to come, they didn't really, some of them had mates in choir, but some of them didn't. So again, it was going to be thinking about who would share rooms, how would they manage that? Would we say it was going to be a tour with no partners? So again, I went to the group and said, this is what I'm thinking. This is the tour that I have in mind. Let's open it up to partners and I'll let you decide. And interestingly, nobody wanted to bring their partner. And I think that's because, partners are, the partner of the choir member is integral to the success of the tour. Because if you think about it, a choir member to even come to choir in the evening needs the support of that partner if they've got children at home. So I think it's very important, again, really look at your demographic of singers. Don't have this tour in mind that actually isn't going to work for the mum of a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Yeah, so for me, it's very important to know that it could be something that we could all do. Where and when are you going to go international? We went to Bruges, but it was the closest international destination we could choose that meant we didn't have to fly. We chose to go by coach. It was amazing fun. The journey provided time for choir members to get to know each other. Sharing of rooms did not become a problem because, like Jason, once I'd gauged who wanted to come, I turned the booking around very, very quickly. And the build up to the tour really engaged everybody and everybody knew what to expect. So I'd say, again, that's my recommendation. Look at the people in the room. And once you've got their interest, get it booked up. And then the excitement can begin for them. And actually at that point, I was really able to sit back like Jason, I engaged a couple of singers from choir that I felt could be my right-hand people, just so that when we were there, I always had somebody to count adults' heads. They didn't need me to, but actually one did get left behind in a lovely church in Bruges. So there we are. Even an adult can get lost en route. So where was I? So I was able to sit back a little bit once I'd got that booking done. Once we were on the trip, I think it was really important. These are adults that are coming. They don't need chaperoning all of the time, but also they don't know each other particularly well. So Rayburn's idea of having a first meal out together was really great, and I would really recommend that. But the rest of the meals were taken small groups, and they did what they wanted to do. And again, I think that's really important. We don't have to be together all of the time, but give people those options. It was loads of fun. The fact that we had different people to perform to, and the choirs loved the fact that we had one set of repertoire that we managed to do 3 times. And you know what it's like with any concert that you've spent, you know, all term learning your repertoire for. You get to perform it once. It might only be to your friends and family, and you always want to do it again. So I think, again, the great thing about a tour for a community choir is you get a chance to reflect and have a chat over a few drinks, and then do it again the next day. The little tours we did, the day trips we took, were amazing. And lastly, I want to say, lastly, what do you do with those people who didn't get to come on tour? Because understandably, they're going to feel a bit like, oh, they've had a great time and it's a bit them and us. Not at all. When we came back to the rehearsal room, we shared the celebrations, and it was very much back to business and back to normal rehearsal. And I'm happy to say we are now going, postponed twice. We're due to go on a UK tour next May. That's me done. Feel free to ask me any questions later.
Fabulous, Mary. Thank you very much. It's one point that I picked up on there was the whole assessing the demographics. So one of the major barriers that we experience here to a tour going ahead is a party leader coming absolutely passionate about launching a tour to their choir, maybe not judging the demographic quite right, or the duration of the tour, whatever it would be. And essentially, they just don't get the numbers to make the tour financially viable. So I think that assessment of the demographic is absolutely critical and a brilliant tip. Thank you very much.